by welcoming you all to this CIRCit webinar series. My name is Daniela Pigoso. I'm an associate professor at the Technical University of Denmark, and I've been one of the co-leads of the CIRCit project. Our main goal with the project has been to accelerate the transition to a circular economy in the Nordic industry. Over the last 3.5 years, we've been working with more than 70 companies, both for co-creation and for validation of a number of different tools for circular economy across 6 main areas, as you can see in the main screen. So we've been focusing on sustainability screening, on circular economy business modeling, on circular product design and development, on the smart circular economy, looking into the digitalization tools, on closing the loop for a circular strategy, and also on collaboration and network. Today, it's the first of our 7 webinars that will be held over the next 2 weeks or so. Our main goal today is to provide an overview of the overall project and also of the main outcomes, and to show you where you can find the workbooks, the tools, and all different knowledge that we have developed throughout the project. And for that, nobody better than Tim McAloone, who is a professor at DTU as well, and is the main leader of the CIRCit project. So Tim, welcome today. We are all very much looking forward to hearing more about the CIRCit project and what we can get out of that. Thank you.
Thanks, Daniela, and hello, everybody. And I think that I can truly say both good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. We have just under 200 sign-ups for this workshop, so it's a sign that it's of great interest to many people around the world. So as Daniela mentioned, we have a project here which we are starting to report and to disseminate and communicate about now, and this is the first of 7 webinars. And I'm very happy to lay the foundation for the 7 webinars here by giving you today a very short overview of the CIRCit project. Not today, but over the next 6 seminars, webinars over the next days, so tomorrow and the days after next week, we'll be going through each of these 6 focus areas that you can see in this nice tile picture in front of you, but I'll come back to those a little bit later. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk for about 15 minutes and would love for you to ask any questions about the project or the work that I'm going to show you. I'm going to take you through the project, a little bit about the motivation, the background, and the organization of the CIRCit project, but also focus on the way in which we presented the results. I don't want to steal the thunder from the next webinars and show all the results from all of the different focus areas you can see in front of you here, but I'm going to give you a little bit of a glimpse as to how they are presented, hopefully to whet your appetites to come to the next webinars. So please do use the question and answer box to ask any questions as I present, and then Daniela will facilitate those at the end so that we can have a discussion towards the end. And this is just going to take half an hour, the whole webinar. I don't have a presentation, but what I do have is the website for the CIRCit project. So this is what I'm going to actually step you through. So hopefully you'll be able to follow me, and I'll just put the screen on here. It's 3 times W, CIRCitNord, CIRCitNord.com, if you would like to follow through. And I'm just going to put it on full screen so it's a little bit easier for you to see. So basically the CIRCit project is called CIRCitNord, and this is a Nordic project. So let's have a look a little bit about the background of the CIRCit project. We're very, very happy and proud to say that the CIRCit project actually has run for the last 3.5 years with these 5 main Nordic countries. So we have DTU from Denmark, the Technical University of Denmark, in Denmark, who's been the project lead. We have RISE, the Research Institutes of Sweden, in Sweden, who've been one of the knowledge partners. We have NTNU, which is the Norwegian University of Science and Technology in Norway, the 3rd knowledge partner. Then we have 2 dissemination partners, the Technology Industries of Finland and the Innovation Center Iceland. And basically what we've been doing on the CIRCit project is to respond to a call from the initiative called the Nordic Green Growth Initiative, which is basically supported by Nordforsk, which is the research organization in the Nordic region, Nordic Innovation, the innovation organization, and then Nordic Energy Research, which is the Nordic Energy Research Agency in the Nordic region. And they basically funded this project and wanted us to look at how can we help the industry in the Nordic region to transition to a circular economy, from a linear to a circular economy. Now, even though we focused on the Nordic region, on Nordic industry, I think that you'll understand and agree that the approaches that we've been working on this project apply to all types of industries in all types of regions. But the special thing about this project is that we've involved a lot of Nordic companies. In fact, over 30 companies have been directly involved in the project, which I'll come back to a little bit later. I'm not going to spend too much time going through what circular economy is. This is not a webinar on telling you what circular economy is, but basically what our understanding of circular economy has been, and the definition that we have been using for this project, very simply, is how can we help the Nordic industry to continue value creation, but to decouple that value creation from resource consumption. So in a nutshell, that's what the project has been working on. So that's very, very briefly about the CIRCit project. Now I'm going to click to the to another part of the website, which is basically the project, how the project is built up. So the focus areas. Here we go. So we've basically had 6 focus areas for circular economy on the CIRCit project, and I'm going to step these through with you in a second here, but basically they're the same as the picture you saw at the beginning of the webinar. One focus area on circular economy sustainability screening, one on circular economy business modeling, one on circular product design and development, one focus area on smart circular economy, one on closing the loop for a circular economy, and one on collaborating and networking for a circular economy. Now you could ask yourselves, why those 6 areas? Well, first of all, this was partly the call that the Nordic Green Growth Initiative, with those 3 agencies collaborating together, were asking for. How do we help industry? You'll see that focus areas 2 to 5 are basically walking through a life cycle, from all the way from taking the first ideas of the business opportunities and business models through to the product design and development activities, and then the product comes out, or the system comes out on the market, and is through its usage phase. Then it's about looking at smart technologies to track and trace. And at some time in the product's life, it will have some form of an end of use, and maybe at some stage an end of life. And what we're trying to do is to prolong or eliminate that end of life scenario by looking at how do we close the loop. So focus areas 2 to 5 are basically life cycle focus areas, roughly speaking. And then focus area 1, we put this at the first actually because we're daring to take up circular economy and sustainability in the same breath, and saying, well, circular economy has been a big focus over the last 3, 4, 5 years, specifically in Europe, but also spreading to the rest of the world as well. And it's not very often we hear circular economy and sustainability used in the same breath or in the same type of thought process. What we've done on this project is to ask ourselves, are the ideas and are the methods and tools and are the business concepts and are the products that we're designing for circularity actually better or worse sustainability-wise? So we're not doing full sustainability assessments here, but we're helping to do a screening of the sustainability. And you'll hear more about this focus area from Maria tomorrow. And finally, the focus area 6 is looking at how do we collaborate and network across companies, across organizations, and across regions to heighten the chances of circular economy. And this is because we see that it's a necessity to do differently and to work differently and to have different partnerships in order to enable new ways of working and closing loops and new business models and new products and so forth. So this has also been a focus area. What I'd like to do now is just to dip down into one of the focus areas very briefly, and I'm going to go into focus area 1. And so if we go into this on the website, you'll basically see the way in which our results are being communicated are a little bit about what the focus area is about, and then we tell you what you get from this focus area. So this one, focus area 1 on on sustainable screening, is giving a workbook with a step-by-step procedure to support sustainability screening, and a comprehensive digital database with over 270 leading sustainability indicators, and then some aims for what the work that we've done here are actually focusing at. This is a nice picture to show you because it's basically depicting a typical situation of how we've built the methods and tools on the CIRCit project. And basically, we've had a very, very industry near approach. What you can't see on this picture is that this gentleman here is from the consumer electronics industry. This lady is from the textile cluster in Denmark. This gentleman here is from a consultancy. This lady is from the medical industry. This lady is a student, and this guy is from a startup. And Maria, who's been leading this focus area, is leading the companies and the organizations through the methods and tools. So we've had a very, very close collaboration with the companies and with different organizations throughout the project. I just need to go out of this full screen here to show you the next part. So here we have workbooks. For each focus area, we have a series of workbooks, one for each of the 6 areas, and you can browse them just here, or you can basically go full screen and browse them online. I can also tell you we have them physically. I can give you an example here. They're physically available as well. For those of you who, hopefully, if we can manage to do it, come to our physical workshop in September, but more about that later. When we step our way through the books, there's a general introduction to the books here. Let me go back to the beginning. Here we have an introduction to the 6 workbooks. What are we exploring in this particular workbook? And a short contents. And then the first few pages are basically the same in each workbook, showing about what our understanding of circular economy is on the project, who the consortium is, and this so-called circular strategy scanner. Let me just spend a couple of minutes on this one. This circular strategy scanner is basically a common platform, or has been a common platform for the whole of the CIRCit project. And this is basically pointing out different circularity possibilities or strategies, all the way from should we think about reconfiguring and rethinking our business, either by going from straight product development and product sales to result and performance-based businesses, to access and availability, or long-life products. This is particularly of interest to our focus area number 2, which is about circular business models. It could be that we actually completely reinvent the paradigm and reinvent the company. Not many on the CIRCit project have done that, but it's worth seeing how can we reinvent how we actually create value in general, and really decouple value creation from resource consumption. Then we have some, you could say, life cycle oriented strategies, which is about restoring, reducing, or avoiding impacts in the 3 main areas of raw materials and sourcing, in manufacturing, or if of product use and operation. And here we see some key strategies under those 3 main categories. And then if everything else fails, you could say, how do we look at the end of life, recirculating either parts and products by maybe extending existing use cycles, or extending to new use cycles, or by recirculating materials. So this has been our strategy scanner, which we've used for the whole of the project. And then each workbook basically has the specific material inside it, which we're going to step through on the webinars over the next days, and you'll see more about those later. I'm not going to go into details there. If when you browse the workbooks online, you'd like to download them, you can click on the download link and get a PDF version of it. And all of the work, by the way, on the website here is open access through Creative Commons. So you're welcome to take it and use it in your companies, in your research, in your education. And then the tools connected to each focus area are collected underneath, which you can click on a particular tool and go in and have a look more about the tool and actually download the tool here from a download link. I'm not going to do that just now. And then if we go into another focus area, just quickly, exactly the same layout with a description, the workbook, the download, and then the tools which are connected to that particular focus area. So that's a little bit about the project background and the circularity focus areas. If I spend a little bit more time on the results in particular, we have a number of scientific papers and popular press articles. I'm not going to go into details of those today, but all of the outputs that we've created, both through academic articles in journals and conference papers, but also articles in local newspapers or trade magazines and so forth, are collected here. You're welcome to look at those, and we've made an open access downloadable version of them all available there. Then we've collected all of the tools together from all of the different focus areas, and you'll see a color coding here. The red ones are the focus area 1, the blue ones focus area 2, and so forth. And indeed, we have over 30 tools collected, all of them for you to take and use as you like in an open source manner, just as long as you remember to cite us when you're using these. If you want to see a collection of the workbooks all together, you can see them here and click on exactly a screen view of them now. And then we have a series of films which are collecting some of the workshops that we've been carrying out throughout the course of the CIRCit project, and also some overview videos here. You're welcome to go and download and have a look at these as well. And these webinars will also be appearing at the top of this page as we complete those. That's basically a collection of our results on the project. The other area I'd like to point out here is the cases, and we're quite proud of these cases. We set ourselves the task at the beginning of the CIRCit project to say, can we find 101 cases in the Nordic industry of circular economy? And you'll see here that today we reached case number 45, which is Fisher Lighting from Denmark. But down here we have all the different cases that we've collected so far throughout the project. These are companies that we've either worked directly with or that we've been very inspired by. They're all Nordic, so you can see the flag depicting which country the case is connected to. And then if we go and let's look at the Fisher Lighting one, which is today's case. You can look and you'll see a small infographic here about what Fisher Lighting is doing here. So the Danish Fisher Lighting makes value from waste by buying, refurbishing and reselling old lighting fixtures, reducing CO2 emissions by 42%. And then you can read a small short story about it, and then a link to the company's own case story on their own website. And we've been really having a lot of fun collecting these cases, and extremely impressed, in fact, by indeed the amount of circularity innovation which is going on within the Nordic industry sphere. One thing I forgot to mention just there on the last case, I'll just go back in, is we have exactly the same icon from our different focus areas, and each case is categorized according to which of the focus areas it pertains to. So go in and have a look at these cases. We we announce them on LinkedIn every second workday, so Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we promised 101. We're up to 45. We have a couple of spaces left, so if you're from a company that thinks you like your case showing here, then get in touch with us via the contact as well. But we're almost at 101 already, and we'll be continuing that until the summer. News and events, you can go and look yourselves, but basically there's one link that we'd like to point out for you, which Daniela will tell at the end, which is about a pre-registration for our final Nordic workshop in September. And finally, the About page is, we'd really like to show this, which is our one of the pages we're the most proud of is the collaboration. We had 10 co-creation partners, which were the companies that helped us to actually develop the tools and the methods. And our rule of thumb was that a co-creation partner should engage on at least 2 of the focus areas. We didn't want one company just to take one focus area. We wanted to see what the synergy was between those 6 focus areas. So thank you to those 10 companies here. Then we had, in fact, over 30 validation partners, companies which have taken the cases, not the cases, the methods and the tools, and tried them out and given us feedback on them. And we've been extremely happy to have that collaboration with the collaboration partners. And these will be added too. And then finally, the Nordic 101 Nordic case partners, the first 45 are being shown here, and we're adding these to the list of the partners. Finally, down here you can see a link to the Nordic Green Growth Initiative and the 3 agencies I mentioned in the beginning, which are the funders for this project. So we're extremely happy about having the opportunity to run the CIRCit project. So basically what we're going to do after today is to launch the 6 focus areas one by one, and tomorrow will be Maria's turn to tell us about sustainability screening for circular economy. But I think it's an opportune slide to, or page of the website to end on, which is the consortium behind the CIRCit project, plus minus a couple of members who were or were not at this meeting. So that was what I had to present to you today, and I hope we have some questions, and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your presentation, Tim, and for providing the overview about CIRCit. We indeed have lots of questions, and I'd like to start with the first one about how can we actually select the order of implementing the different circular economy focus areas? Do you have any recommendations in relation to that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and thanks for coming with that question, whoever it was that posed the question. So actually, as I mentioned, we had with the co-creation partners, the companies, we left it up to them to choose, but we asked them to choose 2 at least. Some of the companies, indeed, they chose actually 3 or 4, and were also validation partners on some of the others. And they chose from very different starting points. The idea is that you should choose from where you come from as an organization. We use two things. We first do a circularity readiness self-assessment with a company to see where they should start. And secondly, we use the circular strategy scanner, as I briefly introduced in the beginning, to show what could be interesting strategies, and then use those 2 areas of how ready are we, and in which areas would we like to become more ready, or to help ourselves to transition, but also which of the circular strategies would be actually the most advantageous for us to work on, and then to go from there. But in principle, you can start it anywhere with these, and the whole idea of making these into 6 distinct focus areas and 6 workbooks which go with them, which are standalone workbooks, is exactly that you can start where you like, and then develop in different areas. So we see no pattern, but we see that once you start in one corner of the work, you can keep going.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. We could also notice that some of the companies want to start with recycling, and this is connected to one of the questions. How do you think that those tools that we have developed in CIRCit are useful for existing recycling projects?
Yeah, that's a very good question as well. So maybe I can point out one of the tools in particular, which is this one here. And I'm not sure that you can see the version, but you can see it in one of the workbooks. Actually, let me try and go to the workbook. It might be easier. Basically, we're helping to make decisions about what to do to close the loop in circular economy. And the idea here is that when we try and close the loop, we should ask ourselves a series of questions so that we somehow cascade the decision making, so we don't just go from a product to recycled materials. The idea is that we're trying to prolong, or in fact actually remove the end of life if we can. And I know this is very difficult to see, but basically we have a decision tree approach here, which is helping you to say, okay, to make some decisions. Is there a demand for the product on the market? If yes, this is the way. If no, this is the way to go. And if yes, it could be about reusing parts or the whole product. And if no, it's about the materials. So we're helping to step you through the decision-making process here. And I know this is a difficult one to see on a screen, but we've made a small tool to step you through that as well. So I think that recycling is a good place to start, but I think for us, it's extremely important to realize that that circular economy is much more than recycling, and that many people often think about recycling in the beginning, but that we should actually help to guide you to saying, well, before recycling materials, could be recycling of components. Before recycling of components, could be actually looking at the whole reduction of materials waste in product development or in the life cycle stages, or prolonging the life cycle. And before that, it could be even to start selling services alongside products or instead of products. What we're trying to do is to step companies and help companies to develop their mindset to become more and more circular, because we know it's not an easy task to transition from a current market and the current demand to a circular business model, and we see that it's very, very fraught with different pitfalls along the way. But that's why we're trying to bring the cases as well. But what our idea is to bring you from an end of life perspective up to an opportunity for new business perspective.
Yeah, and I guess, Tim, you just mentioned about becoming more circular. This is actually connected to another question that we have here, which is asking about the indicators that we are using to measure circularity and whether there is a metric being developed in the CIRCit project to measure this circularity.
Is, so thanks for the question. So I think there's a number of places you can look, and I think two that I'd like to point out, again, without stealing their thunder. In the focus area 1, which Maria will present tomorrow at the same time, there's basically, she's developed an indicator to see, or rather a method to choose between what we call leading sustainability performance indicators. So that means, how do we actually measure the circularity business models or circular product designs or the circular IT approaches and so forth? Are they better or worse than the point of departure from a sustainability perspective? And that is both the business sustainability, the environmental sustainability, and the social sustainability. That's one area. And then another one to point out, which is Sasha's focus area 3, circular product design and development. He's actually created a very nice circularity indicator for product development, which he'll go through next week, which is this circularity assessment tool that you can use in the product development process. So we have some tools there, but I'd say partly because of time, but also because we'd like you to come and have a deeper dive into the different focus areas, then for sure watch out in all of the different areas here for the different indicators we have. But yes, we've created in a number of the focus areas some indicators to guide very concretely how to help the decision making.
Wonderful, thank you. We have time for a couple more questions. 3 minutes left, so let's see how far we can go here. The next question has to do with the expansion towards the Nordic countries. It's clear that CIRCit has been focused on the Nordics, but 2 questions connected to that are, the first one, can you give some examples of circular economy initiatives in Asia, for instance? And the other one is whether there is a goal to create some network or groups that can actually work together to apply those tools and approaches outside of the Nordic industry.
Yeah, thanks for that. So I think for the first question about examples in Asia, I, for one, know of some activities going on in Japan, in the Tokyo Metropolitan University and Tokyo University, but also in Singapore, looking towards circular economy, and a little bit going on in India also, particularly within in Bangalore, more about sustainability, not quite so much about circular economy yet, but some activities there. So we do have research partners in those different parts of the world. I've attended over the last couple of years a very, very large exhibition and what do you call it, a summit in Singapore, actually, about smart and sustainable Asia, where they've had a whole track with environment ministers from different Asian countries and so forth, and a whole track on circular economy. So there's a lot going on, in fact, in that part of the world. And then the last question about how to bring this out further from the Nordic area. Well, these tools are now openly available. You're welcome to take them wherever you are in the world. We think they'll apply anywhere. If you'd like some sparring with us to see how to use them and where to use the tools, then do reach out to us on the contact form, and we'll put you in touch with one of these smart people here who's done the work to actually develop the tools and the methods.
Perfect. And I guess the last question now, Tim, we have 1 minute left, is what would you say that are the key trends for circular economy in the future by using maybe 2 or 3 keywords?
Key trends for the future, yeah, I think so. What we hope that we've done in this project is to go from buzzwords and you could say nice examples of how companies have done it, and we can sort of retroactively describe some great examples, to actually bringing a lot of cases that are new cases, but also to bring some guidance to fill the gap between the great intention of reaching circularity and where we're standing today. So I think the trend that we've tried to contribute to is to give some tangible methods and tools for this, but also to provide a way in which this can either revolutionize, but actually challenge the current business processes in the company, but also to fit into the way in which we do business today. I think the next activities to go on is to go further into how do we really have them integrated, and I think it would be nice to see a project following this to see how do we actually now we've done all these different pilot studies in the companies and the collaborators to go really down and follow them for longer periods to see where the pitfalls are, where the challenges are, what tools function and don't function when we really start to integrate them. And I think that will be a really great next step from here. And then to start to provide very, very quantifiable ways of assessing and evaluating the goodness of how these different circular economy approaches are achieving.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Tim. We have no more time for questions, unfortunately. But for the ones that we didn't have the time to answer, we will contact you with an overview about your questions as well. And before we say goodbye for today, I just want to say that today we provide the overview. Tomorrow we'll start to dig down into the specific workbooks. And the first focus area will be sustainability screening. It's very key because we all know that being circular doesn't guarantee higher sustainability. And it's therefore important to understand how sustainable different circular economy initiatives are in the very early stages so that we can take decisions on how to move forward. Maria Kravchenko is going to be here tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the Central European time as well to detail an overview of a process on how to do that and to provide some tools like databases and trade-off analysis on how to make those evaluations. So I hope to see you all tomorrow. I just want to highlight again that in September, we're going to have a workshop in Copenhagen where we'll be able to try out the different tools in a very hands-on activity. I'm sending the link to the registration form in the chat. Tim is also navigating there. So if you have the interest, please pre-register, and then we're going to send you more information about that in due time. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for coming today, and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Right.